Hi, this is a quick response to APDurrant. I think that's how it's pronounced anyway. APDurrant made a response to one of the videos that I did. If you haven't seen it, then basically you're not going to get this, so go and see it. And at the start of this video, what he did was essentially something which makes my position very difficult. What he did was agree with me, and obviously that means I've got very little to argue against for the most part, but lo and behold, I'll try and make the most of what he did disagree with. The first point is that he says, or if that's you, you said that the idea that there must be something to explain everything seems like a bit of a cop-out. You didn't actually give any reason why this is, and obviously I can't really accept your subjective feelings on whether something is or isn't the case. So just not liking it, or you don't like the idea of it, doesn't really work. You also went on to say that theories must have something which is testable, and when you do test it, that should then prove your theory. And if we're going on this, then Darwin's theory would have been disproved a while back. Two of the things he set out which cannot or cannot be proved are irreducibly complex things, which I know there's lots of discussion about, and he also said that there should be no creatures which really have, although they're completely diverse in types of nature, they shouldn't really have overlap in DNA, and the fact is animals like that do exist. If you want an example of this, just like the duck-billed platypus, where it has fish DNA, it has mammal DNA, it has reptilian DNA, it's got like a complete mix of DNA which theoretically just shouldn't exist. In terms of certain theories being adapted and changed as you're going along, that does make sense to an extent, but when you start drawing on concepts for which there is no evidence whatsoever, then that seems a bit strange to me. It seems almost desperate, there's absolutely no evidence to suggest something is the case. For example, there's dark matter or energy. We can't detect it, there's no way of knowing, but it would help the theory fit, and so we're going to run with it. That sort of stuff, to use your own words, it doesn't really run well with me, sort of. When I was talking about black holes, essentially, I've got no problem with them personally. As far as I'm concerned, if God was going to make the universe, then why wouldn't he start it with a Big Bang? It makes no difference to me. The reason why I chose that is simply because it's something that if you reject it, then you're essentially seen as a scientific heretic, and yet the actual evidence for it is quite minimal in comparison to, well, any other theory you can really think of. It's very basic stuff like isotropic microwave radiation. As for black holes being detected, however, there really is very little for that. There's a couple of anomalies, shall I say, which suggest to certain people that they could be black holes, but these equally well explained by other phenomena like stars colliding and this sort of thing. Essentially, the best that we've got to go on is a couple of radio bursts here and there. It's not really anything conclusive by any means. And so the comparison that I want to draw between black holes and God is that even though you may never see them, like you said, with the wind, you can still see there's windy outside by its effect on the environment, and that can be equally said about God as it can be said about anything else, including black holes. You also say that a scientist's faith is different to a theist's faith, simply because a scientist's belief can be changed. But then you could say that about lots of things. In terms of a theist believing in something, if you have strong evidence to believe on something, then regardless of what it is, it's going to be difficult to change your mind. And if the theist has an overwhelming amount of evidence to the fact that God exists, then of course it's going to be very, very difficult to change their mind. It's the same as you saying, how do you know I exist? Well, I've got a heck of a lot of evidence that I do exist, and therefore if you tried to convince me that I didn't, then that would be remarkably difficult to do. You also say that personal revelation can never be anything more than that, just personal revelation. It can never be used to validate facts to someone else. Well, a court of law would beg to differ, because as far as I'm concerned in this country, lots and lots of cases are decided on the basis of the opinion of others. or not so much the opinion, but the observations of others, the personal revelation of others. And therefore, if it's good enough for a court of law, which will put people away for the rest of their life, surely that would be sufficient for you too. You also suggest that the Bible is contradictory, but I think we're kind of going through this now on some of your comments, so I'll leave that one. Thank you very much.